Welcome to the real journey of the entrepreneur. The journey of any entrepreneur begins with a decision, then writing down your vision, then the execution of that vision. It is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who understand how powerful your mind is and that you can truly create the life that you deserve. It does require a unique formula that includes belief in yourself, a lot of consistency, connecting with an OG, a lot of tears, missing out on a few events and things, and taking a whole lot of risks that will allow you to see your vision and dream come to pass. This journey of the entrepreneur is from the perspective of a wonderful mother, a business owner, whose goal is to break generational barriers and normalize the process of wealth building and financial wellness through entrepreneurship, all while creating a social and give back along the way. I am sharing this journey with you and invite you to share this process with me. Let's do this together. Your decisions, my own, but you have to feel comfortable to own it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I will always support you.
Thank you.
So welcome to the real journey of the entrepreneur. We are back. We are back for season 2. My name is Anita Pierce, and I am the host, the producer. I also am the camera woman, the screenwriter, and I'm excited because you are joining this part of the journey, specifically to learn more about every aspect of entrepreneurship. With this discussion that we have on the real journey of the entrepreneur, we are really focusing on those things behind the scenes that happen. I am the owner of 11375, which is a business consultancy that's certified in the state of New York and also New York City as a minority women business enterprise. We are focused on helping other entrepreneurs grow and scale, but we also are looking to have individuals come on who have the courage, specifically on this show, about their journey of entrepreneurship. So, as you know, I get like excited where I see, women of color doing their thing. We are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs growing. Let me repeat that. The fastest growing group of entrepreneurs that's stepping into this process, because we know that entrepreneurship creates freedom of time. It creates an opportunity for wealth, but it also creates a sense of purpose and self and developing our gifts. And so I get to meet and talk with some of the most courageous entrepreneurs who are willing to step in and to share their process. So now, as you can see, I'm all about the blue lipstick. But what I really wish I had is my next guest in my home doing all this goodness, right? And making it glow. I have Miss Washington, from the red carpet to the runways of Paris and Mulan. Miss Zarielle Washington is a celebrated international makeup artist from New York City. As a therapist and a youth speaker, Ms. Zarielle Washington strives to provide programs, tools, and resources designed to empower, enhance, and then educate us all. But wait till you see all this goodness that's coming up on the screen right now. Welcome, Ms. Washington.
Hello, hello. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Anita, for having me on. I just want to plug right quick my name. I know it's exotic, but it's Zarielle. A lot of people call me Z. Plot twist.
That is, now see, it's Zarielle. Is Zarielle?
Zarielle. Thank you, Mama.
Excuse me for the mispronunciation. I usually do really well much better. So Zarielle,
Mhm.
can I
Yes.
say it like that? Right.
Yes. Yes.
So thank you for the correction, because I like when we get corrected on names, because that's what we are supposed to do. So Zarielle, welcome to the real journey of the entrepreneur. Can y'all just check out and just love on all of that goodness that's coming through the screen right now? Look at that. Just look at all that. Look at that.
Listen, I live to give a look, okay? Not only is it a part of the job, but it's a part of my personality. So any opportunity to promote myself and also individuality, I am here for.
And we're here for it too, with all that goodness. I just love it. I'm feeling all the. Mm, 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 mm. So now let's get started about who you are, what you do, and just tell us a little bit. Let's help us unpack your start of entrepreneurship.
Of course. So I'd say my start in entrepreneurship happened fairly early. I've always been super creative. I hate to talk about like the pre social media age, but that was actually the age that I grew up with and am most familiar with as an 80s baby. And I remember going to college, or when I was getting ready to go to college, I used to have so much fun with all of my friends doing their makeup, picking out their outfits. And I was like, okay, you know what? This is what I want to do. No, my parents said no. At the time, it was very different from now. Makeup artistry was basically like a cult. You know, there weren't very many books on how to get into it, what to do. The only thing that I knew was to go to cosmetology school, but there weren't any leads after that. So I went ahead, took my full ride, and went to college. The year that I was supposed to graduate, I had a really, really bad accident, and I was diagnosed with having a neck fracture that actually was supposed to leave me paralyzed from the waist down. And at that point in time, it was my senior year. I was going to graduate. And I had to drop out of school. And it left me with a lot of time to think about the type of life that I wanted to live. And I felt like I was given a second opportunity to live life and to do the things that I was put here to do. And as soon as I graduated, a month later, I moved to Atlanta, you know, on the path to be a makeup artist without any guidance. And social media was just coming around. Facebook was here. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm about to move to Atlanta. I'm going to post ads on Craigslist and, you know, let people know on Facebook, and I'm going to be a makeup artist. And here I am in New York City as a makeup artist. In that time, I learned a lot about what it means to be a makeup artist, but most importantly, what it means to be a businesswoman. And I would definitely say a lot of the positions that I had, I've never really had a 9 to 5 other than working at a bank. But I feel like each of those positions has bestowed upon me the knowledge of how a business operates, from marketing, customer service, just the day-to-day interactions, promotions. So I've taken a lot of that and just kind of incorporated it into my my blueprint as a business owner.
So that is really wonderful. But you want to know something that I find that for those who I have interviewed thus far, there seems to be a connection of us all either have coming from either the banking or financial services industry. I find that to be a common thread. Every person that I've interviewed so
Mm-hmm.
far for the real journey of the entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
has roots or connections with financial services. I don't know about the retention rate, but
Clearly the retention rate is not there, because we all know if you work in banking, you work in any type of financial institution, or are familiar with financial literacy, you know that it is a endless pot of money out there, and we are trying to get to the dollars and make it make sense. And just for me, a 9 to 5 doesn't really suit my spirit. it doesn't really suit my spirit. So one of the things that I will say about just picking any career that you want to go in is really, it has a lot to do with like self-analysis and knowing what your strengths are, and what you're good at. And I think that's going to be one of the things to kind of help propel you and motivate you, especially when things get hard, because I know you've already let them know that it's hard out here. It's hard out here, not just for a pimp, but for an entrepreneur too.
And we not pimps, but I'm just saying it is very challenging to take risk on your own. And one of the things that we are looking to unpack specifically in this discussion in within your industry, because there are a lot of folks who would like to be in the beauty industry but may not know how to start. So let's really think about your particular blueprint that has worked for you. What were your startup costs like when you first got started?
So I say this, of course, I'm going to hit you guys with a number, but before I hit you with the number, I just want to give you some details and also some advice. I'm going to say right here and right now, start with where you are with what you have. If you want to be a makeup artist, chances are you already own a lot of makeup, you know? So, I mean, the first step, of course, would be to develop a kit. That is where the bulk of your expense is going to come in at, but there are ways, to do it where you're getting what you need kind of along the way. And one of the joys about being a makeup artist is, first of all, you have to remember that you are an artist. So if you don't have everything, or you don't have everything that they sell, there are so many ways, to mix and make what you have, to mix the foundations, to get the shade that you need, mixing lighter and darker shades. You don't need all 40 shades, of Fenty, Lancome. You can start with 6 and just kind of mix a few from there. The same thing for lipsticks and blush. Those two are interchangeable. Eyeshadow and highlighter, interchangeable. So yes, you are going to spend a lot of money to get that pristine, quality, clean kit when you start. But to be honest, the way that you're going to start is going to be, first of all, by practicing, not just on yourself, and on other people. And when I say practice, people don't pay you to practice. So, whether it's your friends or somebody, you can start by doing that. I think the most attention to detail gets left off when it comes to the behind the scenes. Because of social media, a lot of people think that you don't need a website, or you don't need certain processing sites to help run the transactions for your business, and that's not true. You can build a website yourself on Squarespace or Wix, and it's a very low cost startup value of $200. But before you build a website, you're going to need pictures of your work to put on the website, and that's one of the things that I want to recommend that makeup artists or beauty professionals really take an interest is cultivating quality content to basically promote your work, whether that is paying a photographer. And if you don't have the funds to pay a photographer, because sometimes it can get costly, you can opt to do trade. They call them TFP shoots. You can offer to do TFP shoots. But to be honest with you, I do find that takes a little longer. If you're looking for a certain quality and reliability, it takes a lot longer, to get in the right circle, to work with the right people, to get the right product that you need. So that's one of the things that I would recommend is paying when you are ready, after you have practiced and perfected your skill, paying to get quality photos. That is going to bring you the money that you need to basically start your cash cow. In addition to that, you also want to keep in mind that, of course, yes, you can advertise for free on social media using hashtags, and all of that is great, but it is now a very, very competitive market. Everybody thinks that they can do makeup, or, you know what I'm saying, know somebody who does makeup. So I think that paying to advertise your brand, even if it's just something as small as $50 or paying, you know, for a Yelp ad, is a good idea until you have a solid clientele. And I mean, I prefer Yelp because you can basically build your clientele based off of the reviews and pictures that you post. And people love, you know, before and afters. It doesn't have to be as perfect as you would like to present on your website. So that would be one of my recommendations. And that is actually one of the ways that that's one of the ways that I just kind of transferred to New York, was doing that. One of the things I also would like to add is makeup is such a broad spectrum. It's such a broad spectrum. And I know that we have people that are probably in different markets. New York is very competitive, but with anything, makeup, there are 5 lanes, you know, specifically that you can focus on. I would say pick a lane, find you a lane to focus on and choose that lane. If that lane is going to be fashion, then you need to know what type of work you need to cultivate, what type of images you need to build. If it's going to be bridal, you know, that's going to be something very different from fashion. You know, you have TV. Do you want to be in the union? Don't you want to be in the union? Commercial. So just kind of finding out what it is that you want to do specifically and zoning in on that, I think is definitely going to help propel, you know, forward along with what you need for the startup, which I personally would say for startup about anywhere from $1,000 at least for the makeup kit, and that's kind of on the low end. I'd recommend investing in artist brands and not retail brands. A retail brand would be Fenty, which is, you know, gonna run you $40 a bottle. A artist brand would be something like Ben Nye. They use that for theatrical makeup. It's a lot less expensive. RCMA, and then there are tons of makeup artists that are now growing and spurting their own brands. So they're perfect for supporting because the price is less expensive a lot of the time than retail makeup, and they're an artist. So they know exactly what's missing, what's needed for what job.
And is that including the register? You're just talking about the cost for makeup and website. What about registering with the state that you are doing business in?
Yes, that is very important. And that's actually something that I didn't get into later in my career, even though I've been freelance for about 9 years now. I think it's really important that you take your business serious enough to register it, because that is going to open up opportunities for you to get small loans, grants, whatever it is that you would need to further propel your business. In the state of New York, and I know people are listening from different places, it changes. It varies depending on what state you're in. But you can do a DBA, which is less expensive than an LLC for around $150. But if you're going to pay $150, just go ahead and get the LLC for $250. And of course, this is if you file it yourself. I think that it is kind of relatively simple. It's not extremely time consuming. So I think it's less expensive to do it for $250 yourself than pay somebody $500 to do it for you.
So they already know, as that you mentioned it. So what Zarielle mentioned is the sole proprietorship. That you can go to the county clerk's office, set that all up yourself for estimated about $150. That's the sole proprietorship.
Mm-hmm.
And then what Zarielle mentioned is going into a little bit more deeper, which is being heavily promoted, of creating the LLC, which in the state of New York runs about $250. And what that $250 includes is the actual filing with the state, the name, if you do a name search, and if you want to expedite it. to get your information back to you. And the beauty about it is what I say about that is that, since we're in this space, the pandemic has allowed for some benefits, although it may take little bit longer, is that everything can be done online yourself. You do not have to pay for an EIN number. You can go to the irs.gov. You can get that, within a matter of, depending on the date, the time of day that you actually log on. You can get it within a matter of moments, right? And then you can do all of your filings online. The other side of the LLC, which a lot of small businesses that are startup that miss, is the publication of the LLC. So, you definitely have to think about, when you are starting your business, how you want to be taxed. You can be a sole proprietor and take all the liability yourself, or you can establish a LLC where the business now takes on the liability of your overall business. It's about taxes. So it's really critical, when deciding that if you are going to do the investment, don't miss out on the PPP loans, which a lot of us
Mhm.
did because we did not have the appropriate filings, or we didn't have a business bank account because we were not properly structured, and we were commingling financial resources that should have been kept separate from the beginning. So those are excellent, excellent, excellent startup points. And also, y'all always know I tell y'all can get this stuff for free. So I'm going to provide you all with resources at the end of our discussion
Mhm.
where you can get this stuff for free. You don't have to always hire someone to do the things, that you can take the time, because knowledge is is really where you start to grow and be able to develop and do things and still scale your business and use the resources some other place. So thank you so much for that.
Yes, I want to piggyback also off of what you said, especially since the pandemic. Two things that I would like to recommend, and they're fairly low cost, is number one, being a makeup artist, and given that it's a pandemic, having insurance is a
Mhm.
good option. It's not very costly, given that it's just you. I don't know if you do like any independent contractors, but if it's just a single person operating in a business, it's relatively inexpensive. $30 for, and of course you get your quotes or whatever, but it's generally around $30 a month. My second thing that I'm going to recommend, because once again, if you are working during the pandemic, that is a liability. Somebody could say that they became ill, from you, and it caused it affected their respiratory system, whatever. So making sure that you're covered is essential, when you want to be legit. And secondly, is going to be a legal shield. I'm with Legal Shield, which is basically, it's a membership, a legal membership in which you pay. It's about $20 a month for the personal, about $36 a month for the business. If you have any type of legal action that needs to be handled, whether there's somebody threatening you, whether you need to, move along the due process of being paid, they will handle that as a part of your membership. They'll send out letters, they'll do correspondence on your behalf. I think that's something really important to have. I remember somebody speaking to me about it when I first started out, and I didn't have the financial bandwidth to commit to it. But eventually, as soon as I got a steady flow, those were two things that I included in my operational costs. And they are very important when you are working with a lot of different people.
How did I forget that? That's a great point. Having insurance in addition to when you are ready to really establish your business, and particularly, so I work in a service. I'm a service provider, and so what I have is E&O insurance. It's errors,
Mhm,
and because I'm a notary, and so I have that through
mhm,
Hartford. And then there's other insurance that you have, like for those, there are a number of individuals who are in the event space. You can have insurance based upon per event. event insurance. But and that's again based upon what your budget is as you start to have a little bit more cash flow within your business. Those things in terms of protecting your business is really critical because you don't want to just have a paid hobby. You do actually want to grow and scale your business. So excellent, excellent points. So you're in the middle of a pandemic. I'm curious to figure out as an artist, how did you so we all went through that. And now that we have some sort of idea as to how to work through it safer, how were you able to manage when it first started?
So when it first started, I don't think any of us anticipated it going as long as it did. And I felt extremely fortunate and blessed to even have money saved because even with the unemployment didn't kick in until 2 months later. So I felt really blessed, to be able to have a little stash. And after that 2 months, we was just gonna play it by ear. And even when the pandemic initially lifted, things were very, very slow. One of the things that I'm going to say that really, really helped me to make it through the pandemic was having an amazing network. An amazing network of people who I work with for production, makeup artists who refer me to other jobs, and just kind of keeping the ball rolling. That really helped to just kind of compensate for any shortcomings that I might have had in just regular clients that were not getting their makeup done. And also, of course, content creation became really big during that time because we all became consumers 24/7. So I worked with a few brands to create content for them. That was also a viable financial resource for me. But I really took the pandemic as an opportunity to just kind of reevaluate where my brand was and what direction I wanted to go in it with. And I took that also as an additional time to invest in my craft because usually, like I said, practicing is not a paid opportunity, so I don't practice on paid clients, and then if I'm working literally every day, that minimizes the window of opportunity that I have for practicing. So now with all of this time on my hand, I was able to really practice looks that people were not into because I do fashion and commercial, but I also do bridal, and they're two very separate lanes. So it gave me an opportunity to be more creative, with the fashion element and just really dive into it and learn more about influential makeup artists, photographers, people that I would be interested in working with and kind of building that rapport while we were just all just in the same climate, basically.
So you mentioned a couple of things that I really want to touch base on. The one that um, we're in a pandemic, however, you were able to be a reasonably good steward with your finances, so that in times of challenge, that you were able to at least survive. That's a crutch for me. The other thing is, practicing your craft, like utilizing this time to really develop things so that, when things, like now are starting to open back up, that you're able to now develop and really go in and say that you're because you've been practicing this craft, that you can now go into this space, which is really good.
Yes. Okay. So you already know what it's like to be an entrepreneur, especially needing at least 5 years in the game to even say that you're experienced. So with me just having been a makeup artist in New York City for 9 years, I already know the pattern. I already know when it gets slow, how it goes, what to expect. So there is money that I always keep for those 2 months. It's slow after Christmas for everybody that I know, that it's going to be slow. And so it just so happened after Christmas this year, it wasn't slow. So I still, had that money saved up. But I typically know just kind of what the busiest months are, believe it or not, for makeup, and what are the slower months. So I just kind of keep that in mind and keep it in my pocket. Plus, one of the perks of working fashion and commercial is when you do fashion shoots or you do photo shoots or production, any type of production, they have to feed you. So that's already, minimizing what I'm spending. I'm not eating out for lunch. They have snacks, they have coffee, they have breakfast. If we're shooting over 8 hours, they're going to have dinner. So that also comes into play to just like help minimizing those expenses, as well as building in the expense of traveling to the location with my kid. So though, I include that in the rate that I give. So that's not additional money that I'm spending for transportation. It's already been factored into the rate and already been considered.
See, that's smart business right there. So you're not just charging $50 an hour.
No, I mean, literally and even as a makeup artist now, I'm still, learning what the questions are to ask before you just give out a price. I mean, and all makeup is not created equally. No two jobs are the same. So I need to know who I'm doing, where I'm doing it at, for how long, and where it's going to be placed. Is it going to be in a billboard, in Times Square, or is it going to be just in a little, neighborhood catalog? Because when you think about it that way, that billboard in Times Square is going to cost way more than that ad in a local small magazine, so the more that they pay for more eyes to be on it, the more intense and the more important it is as your job as the makeup artist, and usually the more persistent they are about what exactly it is that they want down to the T.
Wow. I'm learning so much about your industry.
And I was surprised, to bring up your point about the practicing. When I tell you, I was so surprised because yes, I was just having a good time creating fun, abstract, bold makeup looks, not necessarily catering to any particular person, because I say as a makeup artist, our number one goal and job is to do, what that person asks, whether that's the client, a bride, a sweet 16, or, whether it's for a campaign. Like every time there's always a look that somebody has in mind. So I took my opportunity for practicing to be, that I could use any shade of purple, gold, blue, pink, and do it any type of way. And I was surprised that I actually got a lot of opportunity from just doing my practice rounds and just kind of posting them. I was like, okay, it's a really good feeling when in a time and age when people have access to so many pictures, so much content, and you say, what look were you going for? What is it that you like? And they show you your work and they say, I want that, So that has been one of the best feelings in my career, when somebody can show me my work and say, I like what you did right here. I want this, or I want you to do something like this on me.
Wow, that is a true testament of your craft. That is really amazing. So I wanted to highlight another point that you made about business collaborations, right? So you mentioned your network that you tapped in as a way to continue to keep you top of mind for individuals to help to hire you or to have you a part of a production. Would you elaborate on how important network relationships are?
Yes, I'm pretty sure every entrepreneur that comes on this show mentions your network. And I want to put extra emphasis on your network. because that person over there, you know, that might be an angel, might do angel funding, might do crowdfunding. Just because that person has access to that element does not mean that they are for your network. And that's one of the things that I really learned about when trying to create and align myself with a network. You want to make sure that the people in your network, not only do you, of course, enjoy their company, their personality, but in order for it to work, because the network goes both ways. Currency flows both ways. You have to be on the receiving and the giving end. And that person has to want to, you know, give you something and also be open to receiving something for you. And if there's no click, then I mean, it's just basically like making friends. You know, you can pass out a lot of cards, you can run down a lot of people. And I have done that, you know, for my career or during the span of my career. And I would try so hard sometimes with some people and nothing would happen. And maybe I might meet another makeup artist and they're best friends, you know, with this person. So being in alignment with people who are in alignment with your goals, your vision, have, you know, the same outlook, working toward the same outcome, I think is best when trying to create a network. And just really, you know, sticking with people who resonate with you, because those are going to be the networks that are really valuable. And those are going to be the ones, you know, that make it through tough times, because at the end of the day, they still have to like you, you know, as a person and not just what you do.
Yeah, that social capital is important. I can't emphasize enough about not always being the taker from a relationship. So
Mhm.
you hit it on target. That currency goes both ways. It really does, and it doesn't have to be, as you think about. You mentioned about you didn't use the word bartering when in terms of if you need a photographer or someone to
Mhm.
I forgot the term that you use.
Oh,
um
okay. So it is bartering, but in this world, they call it TFP,
right, okay.
time for photos. So that's usually, you know, what the abbreviation stands for. So they'll be like, oh, I'm looking for a TFP photographer, makeup artist. That just lets you know off the rip, you're not getting paid, and it's in exchange for. Which I find a little tricky, because that person 9 times out of 10 is needing something from you. And it's not always a collaboration. It's not always a collaboration. And what I find in this industry usually is, well, if you do it for free this one time, even though you really should be getting paid, next time we'll remember you, you know, and next time, you know, we can offer you money. So just knowing when to differentiate, like, is this really a solid opportunity? You know, is this somebody who I would enjoy working with? Because that's one of the best parts about being your own boss. You know, you get to choose who you work with, and you want to like those people. So, you know, making those connections, you know, is really, really important. And I've, you know, of course, worked with tons and tons of people throughout my career, some that I might not even remember, you know, and it just wasn't a good mesh. You know, of course they got the job done, I got the job done, but it wasn't a memorable experience. So where
Mhm.
I'd be like, hey, you know, you need, you know, a production company, like, contact this person. You know, sometimes those interactions are going to be few and far and apart, but when you get those opportunities, it's going to be so easy. You'll be the first person that you think of, because they'll be like, oh, I enjoyed that person. Like, I had a good time working with them. Easy breezy. They understand me. I understand them. Let's call them again.
Mm. But the important things is know when to say when.
Yeah, well, I would say know when to say when doing like networking events.
Mhm.
knowing when to say when doing networking events. I remember I was like an avid like networker, especially when I first moved to New York City, because I didn't, know anybody. I was a transplant. So I was at events, not even kidding, any event that I could find that I think that would pertain or, pertain to the industry I'm in, or lead me, to the industry I'm in, I'm there, especially, if it was free. I'm getting business cards, I'm following up. I would take notes on the back of the business cards just to kind of like write down like what our conversation was, to like run that back in the email. And, it's good to keep in touch with people, but it's also great when you know that, there's something solid and there was a genuine connection. And just like you're meeting tons of people, they're meeting tons of people too. So, checking in, following up, all of that is good. But I think that, and you'll see my board behind me right here. We already had a conversation about this board, but pretty much on this board, if I meet somebody that I think fits into the scope of business that I'm doing, unfortunately, I can't keep up with all cards, but I'm writing their name down and I'm plugging it on that board, because that's somebody who I need to stay in contact with to build that relationship up. So if they're important, they're going on this board. Any type of ideas that I get, which I just kind of pulled some down. I'm huge on writing stuff down. My notebooks are like crazy. So when I get an idea and it pops up right quick, I'm going to put it up here so that I won't forget it. And at some point in time, it might link up and sync up like, hey, I just met somebody for, what I'm looking to do. This one is like Pitch Girls Empowerment Group. And I'm like, okay, that's just like my little board for clearing my mind out and making everything kind of visible, just in case I get distracted by anything. I can remember that, hey, this is one of my goals. This is one of the, the purpose behind my brand. This is something that I want to follow up on. It might not be something that I can do right now, today, this week, this month, but this is the direction that we're going in. So keep your eyes open, mouth closed and ears, all around.
I don't even know what to say after that, because that's what I be coaching my clients on, telling them the importance of following up, writing down, getting all of this stuff out of your head and putting it on paper. That is, I mean, I'm a Christian, it says it in the Bible, about writing things down and making it plain. So it's really interesting that concept of, follow through, which is a key thing of success in any business, to follow through until you're completing that task, or that you've made the type of relationship, at least the start of it, that you're looking for. Don't give up on the follow through. Right? It's almost like the analogy of playing basketball. When they make the shot, do they just stand there? Some of them do. It's important to follow through on the rebound, to at least try to, get that through. So you have this board up here. What does it say? I am
a prosperity powerhouse. I am a prosperity powerhouse. I cannot even emphasize like how much, or the importance of not just having reminders around you about who you are and what your intentions are, how important that is. And one of the stories that I love to tell was just about, in terms of like following up. I moved to New York from Atlanta. I was a makeup artist in Atlanta, and it did not go well, child. When I say it didn't go well, like I quit my job 3 times to try to freelance, went back each time. And I just knew that when I moved to New York, that it would be different, or it would be a fresh start. And from the time I moved to New York, I never worked for anybody again. I did complete freelance since I got here, which is a huge accomplishment in itself, in a city that is so expensive. But that just goes to show you just how widespan opportunity is. But when I was in Atlanta, I met the manager for CNN hair and makeup department, worldwide. So I met her. We had a great conversation. I followed up with her for 5 years. 5 years, and not even just her. I had got the opportunity to meet some other members, from the staff. And when I tell you follow up in a way that it's not about what I want, but more about, hey, we haven't had a chance to chat since the last time I spoke with you. I just want to let you know that I'm still in New York City and I'm on the grind. I just completed Fashion Week doing this show. I'm looking for the opportunity when I can sit down, and learn more about opportunities and how my experience can benefit CNN. And those were the type of emails that got responses, so just always thinking of a crafty way to, show your personality. You can show your personality and still, be professional. It doesn't have to be straight and narrow. It's not, black and gray or whatever. Be who you are, and those people who are attracted to you will come to you. And I think that's one of the most important things to remember in any industry. You're not the only one. You're not the first one, and if you do it well enough, you definitely will have competition. But you have to remember that people choose to patronize you and your brand because they like you, and who you are. That, is your gift. That is the secret in your sauce. So I really hope that everybody considers that, because being an entrepreneur is hard starting out, and you see so many people that you may have, started with, pass you, give up, continue, excel, but you can't focus on yourself if you're focused on what the next person is doing.
Wow.
And I thought
everybody heard that last.
Yes. I mean, I know we all do, especially with social media. You just like, she posted a video and she got 2K likes. I only got 25 likes. Like, stay focused on what it is that you are doing, because I promise your time to shine is coming. It's coming for each and every last one of us. That's not how it works. You don't put in the energy. First of all, you don't put in the work and see the return right away. But don't think if you don't see it right away that you're doing all of this for nothing, because it's not. Mm-hmm. It's not, and you preach so much about having belief in yourself. I think that is the most important thing to obtain as an entrepreneur. And if you can work on, basically uplifting yourself and staying positive, then it's going to happen.
I say it has no choice to happen, but to happen.
It literally has no choice to happen. No choice at all. That actually was a time. So how I ended up in Milan and Paris, it was so crazy, because I did Fashion Week in New York, had tons of great opportunities, but it is, a feat like no other to get the opportunity. I love to travel, love it. Had already been to Paris, and I was like, you know what? I want to go to Paris, Milan, and I want to work the shows. And so an opportunity came up to buy a one-way ticket to Paris, $400, and I did it. I just bought a one-way, just a one-way. One of the things that I would say that I hate that I did was, and it didn't bother me, at the time, but yeah, I told, people always like, when's your next trip? When's your next trip? I was like, oh, I'm going to Paris, to work Fashion Week. They're like, oh, okay, you got jobs lined up? No. Do you know anybody in Paris? No. Do you speak French? No. No, not at all. But I just knew that I was going to Paris and I was working Fashion Week. Okay. Come the week of New York Fashion Week, because Paris is the very last week. I had emailed every agency, anybody that you can think of. And I was like on the brink of nervousness because I'm just like, okay, I believe in myself. I bought this ticket. I didn't pay for this non-refundable Airbnb. Like, what we gonna do, God? Like, talk to me. And I remember having a mini breakdown, because that's what we do as entrepreneurs. It's okay. It's okay. Cool. Nobody saw it. Even if they did, I wouldn't care.
Yep.
But it was so cold on this day, 30 degrees outside, and I was shooting with a photographer to get content, and we were bartering services, and I thought about canceling because it was so cold. And I was like, no, you said that you were going to do this, like you have to go through with, getting your content, being consistent, something that we all fight as not only entrepreneurs, but as human beings. So I got up and went to do the photo shoot at 9:00 in the morning, 30 degrees outside, so cold. When I got done with the photo shoot, I got a call from an agent asking if I was available to do Rihanna Fenty. Puma. This was the first year that it was coming out, and they were like, we need you there in an hour. And it just so happens, because I'm doing a photo shoot, she ready. She is ready. So I go home, get my kit. And when I get to the set, like, I'm like shook already because it's Rihanna. But most importantly, it was Pat McGrath, which is like the biggest makeup artist of all time, and an amazing, amazing person just to even begin with. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was doing hair. And I'm like, how can I get on that team? Like, how can I talk to her? Like, who do I know over there that could plug me? Would they plug me? This is all of what I'm thinking, plotting in my head. Supposed to be going to Paris in 2 weeks, no jobs. A hairstylist friend of me, she said, do you know Pat? I was like, no. She was like, let me introduce you, to her. And she walks me right over there. And yes, it was a sister, another Black woman. And she said, Pat, me Zarielle, she's an amazing hairstylist and makeup artist. I just wanted to introduce you to. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I told her, I was like, I'm coming to Paris and I would love to, be on your team, during Fashion Week. And so she's like, okay, no problem. Give my assistant your information and we'll contact them. And of course, I'm just like, they're not going to contact me. But still a great story. Next day, woke up, had an email. And let me tell you that she never asked me for anything. Not a website, not to pull up pictures on my phone of people whose makeup I did. She simply took, the recommendation from somebody who she knew and trusted. And that was it. The next thing I know, I'm backstage, at Louis Vuitton, Stella McCartney, and I went on to work on her team for 2 years, doing Milan, doing the Prada, the Bottega. I mean, it was an amazing experience. And I honestly was not even like, it was still surreal to me while I was like there. It was still surreal. So just never, undervalue believing in yourself, following through what it is that you have to do. And number one, being ready. And we mean ready in so many different senses that's not even physical, about having clothes, and being done up, but having everything in alignment. So when that opportunity comes, it's yours without a question asked.
I just got chills from that because wow, that's that, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Wow.
Because I'm just like, also like, if I was like at home in the bed And I stayed in Brooklyn at that time. It's no way, you know what I'm saying, that I could have been ready like I needed, you know what I'm saying, to be ready. She literally said, we need you there in an hour. Can you get there in the next hour? And I'm like, yes, you know, it's cute. Had my little plane ticket already lined up. God did it. So, you know, when you feel yourself like not seeing like something is going to come into fruition, just know the seeds that you planted and the pureness of your intentions will make way for your harvest.
You preaching to my soul right now, because and I'm saying this because I've had so a lot of my work deals with work as a minority women business enterprise. I'm actually certified with the state of New York and the city. And so a lot of that, the contracts that I've gotten this year was as a result of me being ready
Mm-hmm.
to take on those opportunities. And even if there was some contracts that I took on that I didn't know it all, right? But I said yes to the things that I could do within the contract. And I did a really good job on the things that I could do, and also collaborated with another business that could do better on the other aspect, is how we have been able to do really well and begin to create relationships. So you are speaking all up in my soul right now, because it's just what some of the risks that we have to take, and primarily is trusting in your purpose. You gotta really trust that the gifts and talents that we have been gifted with, been blessed with, that it's not just for us, it's for the world. It is for the world. So on that note, I want to start to wrap up, even though I really want to have you come back.
I would love
If your
to
schedule
come back.
permits,
I
if
would love to come back.
yeah, this conversation is like having a nice glass of wine, and you're sitting on the couch and you just are really exchanging, and sharing some of our experiences, what that looks like, different industries, but definitely entrepreneurship at the foundation. So I thoroughly appreciate you being here and sharing all that goodness that's coming through the screen, all of it, every last piece of it. So as we wrap up, I normally do like some rapid one word answers, and I'm actually
Okay.
really curious
Um,
to see. So, what do you do in your downtime?
So in my downtime, I actually really love to do things that kind of provoke me to think. Oh, I'm supposed to do one word. Okay, one word.
You can do one word, but if it
Okay.
comes out longer, we can accept that too. That's fine.
So in my downtime, nature. I love to be outside. That's just where I find like my calm, my peace, and also inspiration. Anything that I can take inspiration from as an artist, I'm doing it. And it doesn't have to be for necessarily clients, but if it's going to help me to look at life a little different, look at my industry a little different, look at my brand a little different, I think that it's something in almost everything that we do today, and every experience that we have that can just really change your mindset.
How do you practice self-care these days?
I practice self-care honestly by cutting my phone off and not answering it if I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm going to sleep, just whatever I can do, solitude, baths, like shopping. Everything's an excuse for self-care. Latte.
What do you want your legacy to be?
I would love for my legacy to be that, number one, that I was a genuine person that tried to help anybody that was trying to help themselves.
Final thoughts
For me,
for you?
So yes, I do. I just want to express this. I feel so honored to be on the podcast and to share my story with so many people and to just have my voice heard. I think that that's really important for entrepreneurs is to have a platform that they can be received and recognized on. So I want to thank you for affording me the opportunity. Like, you just don't know. I'm about to get off the phone and go ham on some new ideas because I feel motivated by the belief that you have in my brand and the opportunity that you bestowed to me. So thank you so much, Anita.
Well, no, happy to have you. Happy to have you be inspired. Now, where can we find you? I know that you are on social media. Where can we find you?
I'm on social. I took a little break, guys, but I'm coming back. You can find me on Instagram at Zarielle, which is my name, Zarielle. I also have another page that is for my bridal brand, which is brides underscore by underscore Zarielle. So check me out on either or. You'll get more, I guess, like personality, fun, fashion, just real live tips from my personal Instagram.
So that way we get to know both of you, your work,
No
right?
boat.
And get to deepen the engagement with you. So I am thoroughly honored for you taking the time out of your busy schedule to join the real journey of the entrepreneur. I look forward to bringing all that goodness back to the show when your schedule permits. Would love to have you. And also consider this, like if you have events coming up and you want us to share it to the audience, please do not hesitate to send it over. We will
Okay.
and just put it out there because that is my honest belief that, we as entrepreneurs, doesn't matter what level we are, specifically if we're starting within the under 10-year gap, then perhaps lending and sharing and being a referral to one another will help us all to win. So, on that note, Zarielle, thank you so much for
Thank
joining. It
you.
is really a pleasure meeting you virtually. I know I'm gonna run into you on the streets. Where you from? You said from
I'm
Atlanta,
from
but we in Brooklyn.
Tennessee,
But
but yeah, I stay in New York City.
I thought you was from Brooklyn.
Oh no, I'm not from Brooklyn.
I
I
thought you was from
live
the best
near.
borough ever.
If
Best
I want
borough.
to close claim, I did stay in Crown Heights for 5 years.
Okay,
Okay.
well, you have Brooklyn-ish, and that's all that
Yes.
matters.
Yes.
So thank you so much for your time. Please stay tuned for more episodes of The Real Journey of the Entrepreneur. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Be blessed.
Thank you. So now I get to just really share more information about, entrepreneurship. Please check out Zarielle's website, bridesbyzarielle.com, on Instagram, brides underscore by Zarielle on IG. But I got some goodies to share, right? So and as we are in this journey of entrepreneurship, there's always a number of free resources, always free. You do not have to book Anita. You can go through the free resources. In fact, I will point you there because I know that starting up sometimes can be a challenge. So, the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, I'm from Brooklyn, but all of the 5 boroughs have a Chambers of Commerce. They have tons of resources. So check out the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce.com/COVID, has tons and tons of resources available. The New York City Small Business Resource Network offers free resources, website connecting to capital resources. So you can check out the New York City Small Business Resource Network.org. Also wanted to plug in that there are still grants available with the New York City Small Business Recovery at the Empire State Development. There are resources available, but I also, as you know, will like to tell you, when you are applying for these grants, have your business folder ready. Finances are important, whether you filed your taxes, your business structure, having a separate business bank account, those things that me and Zarielle talked about in the beginning, of establishing your business structure, specifically if you're in the state of New York, is really important. But think about it. If you are not in the state of New York, just consider that having your business folder with those important documents together, accessible, so that you can just get busy online applying for these grants. Grants are resources and monies that you do not have to pay back. So let's get busy in booking and also registering for those access for financial resources. And also, a lot of people be like, why you do this? Why do you do this? I am a business coach for hire. However, what I do understand is that when you are starting up your business, there are a lot of money. We don't always have capital, money, resources, right? But here's what's so amazing. The SBA, which is funded as a federally funded program, they have a program for mentors for free through SCORE. So if you're looking, you cannot afford my resources, you can consider booking me through SCORE. My information is here. You can look me up. I focus specifically on business fundamentals. I do have extensive experience in both the nonprofit sector and also for profit, but I work on making your foundation strong. So when you come to me, I'm not going to BS you. You can book me through SCORE. If you want to see me sooner than my calendar does present, please consider hiring me. But then I'm also going to tell you that if you can't afford those fees, it's all right to come over to SCORE. I'm still the same person, still an amazing coach. So please consider doing that without any doubt. There are also some other resources available in terms of grants. LegalZoom has the Fast Break for Small Business, which is a program that they just started. They have a number of different opportunities for new businesses. You can apply for the grant. I believe it's between 10, what they're doing, a 10,000, a $25,000 one, but they also are providing legal services through LegalZoom. How many of entrepreneurs do a Google search and they also are looking for resources through LegalZoom? And this is an opportunity in which you can take advantage of it. And again, have your documents in order: taxes, bank statements, business structure documents. You can be a sole proprietor and you can be an LLC to apply for this particular grant, but make sure that you have your information ready and available so you can just go. As Zarielle mentioned, there's always opportunity, so you got to be ready. And these are the opportunities that are coming up. Just have your items in order. Another one is through the NAACP.org. They have, again, tons of grants available now for small businesses. There is a specific target for businesses of color. Don't hesitate to take advantage of this stuff. This is about taking advantage of opportunities of grants that does exist, that you may need for a startup, for helping to build a website. All these things exist. So you can't say, especially if you've been watching the show, that the services aren't out there, because they are for free and they are for you. So on that note, I want to thank you so much for joining the journey of the entrepreneur. There is so much more to come. I look forward to having you continue this episode. We have so many amazing entrepreneurs, and I'm learning so much just by the industry in which they are working on. So, on that note, I will see you again soon. Thank you so much. Bye bye.